Amendment by Canales.
Mr. Speaker, members, I'd appreciate your attention. This is I think, a real common sense amendment. Currently, most law enforcement requires a level 2 holster. This is a holster where somebody can't randomly come and jerk your gun out of your belt, or if you're sitting at McDonald's and your gun falls out of your holster, this thing holds your gun in, and it requires a safety latch. These are the minimum safe holsters for law enforcement, military, and security personnel. And the reason being is so somebody can't come and yank it out of their pants. Somebody can't come and take the gun, and that's one of the biggest concerns with open carry, is somebody taking your gun away from you. On a regular holster, if you're standing there not paying attention, somebody can take your gun from you very easily, and any law enforcement will tell you that. A passive restraint on a handgun simply means the way the leather in the holster molds to the gun. An active restraint typically means there's a thumb brake in the holster, usually over the strap of the hammer, but in some cases over the lever or the flap. It has to be moved or snapped to get the gun to leave the holster. While the strap, the flap, or the lever will usually keep the gun in place if the wearer falls or stumbles. It can still be removed very fast, and the handgun can be deployed. Again, these are simple, common sense approach to open carry in the state of Texas. This amendment simply makes the bill better. It makes Texas a safer state. It makes us safer as a state and more responsible. It makes this bill a lot, I would say, palatable for those who think it's not a good bill. With that, I yield for any questions.
Representative Lucio, for what purpose?
Will the gentleman yield for a few questions?
Does
Yes,
the
sir.
gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Canales, do you own any guns, or are you familiar at all with gun use?
I've owned a lot of guns, Representative.
Own a lot of guns?
I'm a big fan of guns. I love firearms. I think that there's a purpose and there's a time and a place, and I think that this is an amendment that only furthers the safety of gun users. And I don't think this in any way hampers anybody's Second Amendment right.
And you and I have heard repeated times that majority of gun owners and folks who would use this new law that we're passing to carry open weapons are responsible people, correct?
That's absolutely correct. Gun owners are generally some of the safest people and most responsible people because they know what they've got, and a firearm can be a tool, but a deadly weapon. And so,
and you and I both have large constituency of pro-gun NRA members in our district, correct?
Absolutely. The majority of the people in my district are pro-gun.
And the only people that I have heard from that have concerns about this bill from my district are NRA members.
Well, and the people that have concerns about it, not only NRA members, I've heard a lot of concern from law enforcement. A lot of concern, mostly with people, tremendous amount of concern from law enforcement with the fact that somebody can take the weapon. And when you've got that level 2 holster, it's just one click and you pull it.
Right.
But you will know somebody's taking it from you.
So this isn't a amendment that would impact the gun owner.
No.
This is an amendment that we hope will resolve the concern that people have that the danger from open carry is not from the gun owner, but from the person who's not in his right mind who will take that gun.
Absolutely.
From the person who's a law-abiding, open carrying member of society.
What happens when you become accustomed to wearing a gun, and a law officer will tell you, is that sometimes it's a second nature to have it on your hip. So sometimes you don't realize when you're doing something else, and so it can easily be taken from you. And what this does is prevents people. If our law enforcement's doing it, if it's good enough for our law enforcement, it ought to be good enough for us.
And that is my only concern or rub with this bill. I understand the constitutionality of it. I understand the people feel that it's their right to bear arms. We are trying to implement one thing that I think will benefit the public safety and not in any way slow down or keep from law-abiding, open-carrying members of our public from drawing their gun in a time of danger, correct?
You're absolutely right. I mean, we would never put our law enforcement in danger by making them have an apparatus that would lose time in drawing their weapon. This isn't a Republican issue. This isn't a Democrat issue. This is a state safety, state of Texas issue. And I think that anybody, if it's like I said, and I'll repeat it, if it's good enough for law enforcement, it's good enough for us. And the reason they do it is because it's safe.
You know what I'm scared to death of? That if we pass this bill without your amendment or without some training on the proper use of restraint holsters, of someone who is not in their right mind taking that gun and using it against that person or a kid, and then their families coming back to us saying, why didn't you implement simple measures like restraint holders that could have saved my child's life?
Representative, I want the House to hear this. If we don't implement this, and the first time it happens, you will not forget that we didn't implement the most simple safety measure, and it's going to be on your conscience.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Representative Guerra, for what purpose?
Would the gentleman yield?
Does the gentleman yield?
For Representative Guerra, anytime.
The gentleman yields.
Representative, how many guns do you own?
A lot.
Your amendment is simply safety, especially in the advent of children coming in, the unknown presence of an adult that has a open carry pistol on them.
It's just not going to let somebody yank your gun out of your belt. It's like I said, Representative, this is what our police officers are using, and for good measure, because they've always got a gun on them. And the thing is, you prevent somebody from yanking that pistol out, and this does no way prevent you from using it, holding it, open carry. It's just a safety measure that if our law enforcement can do it, we should hold ourselves at least to the same standard. If our law enforcement's out there to protect and serve, well, we should at least protect our fellow neighbors by not having somebody be able to yank our firearm out of our belt.
Representative, thank you very much.
Thank you. I move adoption.
Representative Phillips to speak in opposition.
Yeah, if he really wants machine gun, no, that's not this amendment. That's another one. I appreciate the sentiment is we need to direct some kind of special holster. They had this debate in the Senate on this. We have all kinds of holsters, and most people are not in the situation where they need that they're going to put themselves in a situation where this is an issue. You know, my holster has one little loop over it. I would have to go out and purchase a holster differently. That's not the goal of this bill. We have thoughtful gun owners. They have all kinds of holsters. I've talked to people that have lots of different guns. They're not concerned about this. We took this language from the state of Oklahoma, primarily the belt and shoulder aspect of it, and they went through this debate when they passed it. It has not been an issue at all. And quite frankly, I don't think it's, law enforcement may need that because they are directly confronting people on a regular basis that may be wanting to get away or that may be in criminal episodes. That's not who we are. So I understand the thoughts behind this. It's just not necessary. It's overly prescriptive, and also we haven't needed it for concealed handgun holders. So with that, I would respectfully move to table.
Representative Canales to close.
I think you understand, members, the nature of my amendment, and I'll leave it to you like this. It's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. And this amendment would make Texas safer. So the first time, if we don't adopt this amendment, that somebody yanks a gun out of someone's belt because we couldn't adopt the safety measure, you will not forget that you voted against this measure. So with that, I ask to vote against the motion to table.
Members, Representative Canales sends up an amendment. Representative Phillips moves to table the amendment. The question is on the motion to table. Representative Stickland has requested strict enforcement. You must vote from your chairs. We're going to give you plenty of time to vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Have all members voted? Strict enforcement, Representative White, you need to vote from your chair. Now have all members voted? 89, there being 89 ayes and 38 nays, the motion to table prevails.